Hello and welcome to Lofty Pursuits and Public Displays of Confection in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm Greg. Today we're going to make some honey and lavender drops, cough drops in fact, that are made using real honey and no food coloring. And we're doing this because, well, people seem to be needing cough drops now, and candy and medicine have a long history together. Candy has been used as a cough suppressor for centuries. The very action of sucking on a piece of candy produces more saliva, and that saliva keeps you from coughing a bit. But they also add things. Honey is one of the ingredients, and we're adding it now. The trick about honey is it doesn't really want to mix with the sugar without causing crystallization or preventing the sugar from ever hardening. So adding it at just the right temperature and just the right moment is critical. People think of honey as just another sugar, but it's not. It's fructose and glucose, but it's also a whole bunch of other things, and as much as 25% of honey is those other things. And those other things keep honey from hardening and make it difficult to make candy out of. So we have to mix the honey with sucrose to suspend it. It sort of wraps around the honey molecules, traps it, and keeps it in a hard candy, and keeps it in a way that'll make your throat feel good. And we have to do this before it gets too cool. Jake pours the sugar solution on the candy cooling table to make it cool as fast as possible so we can eventually get it to the consistency of clay and press it into its final shape. Before the honey was even added to the pot, the lavender oil was already there and added in, and that gives it a subtle aftertaste of lavender which complements the honey beautifully. Where the candy touches the table, it's become quite hard. On the other side, it's quite liquid, and by folding it back and forth, Jake is going to even out the temperatures. Although candies were used to help with throat problems and coughing dating back to ancient Egypt, cough drops became cough drops in 1872, or thereabouts, with the Smith brothers. Before that, they were known as cough candy, and you'd buy them at a candy shop. After that, they were marketed as medicinal, and the change wasn't the drops themselves. The change was the marketing. 173 years ago in 1847, James Smith moved to Poughkeepsie, New York with his family. He opened up a restaurant and an ice cream shop. And yes, this does sound familiar, doesn't it, with Lofty Pursuits? And he ended up having a successful business. But around 1852, a gentleman of the name Sly Hawkins came into town. He was broke, and he traded for some food a recipe for his family's cough candy. The restaurant was called James Smith & Sons, so he called it James Smith & Sons Compound of Wild Cherry Cough Candy. And he pitched it for the cure of coughs, colds, cold, hoarseness, sore throats, whooping cough, asthma, the list went on. But unlike a lot of snake oil that was sold back there, this actually did something. It caused salivation, so you did cough less. James Smith's sons, Andrew and William, took over the business, changed the name to Smith Brothers, and decided to change the name of the candy to Cough Drops to distinguish it from others. And they ended up trademarking the name, one of the first trademarks in the U.S. They did it in about 1872, and trademarks only started in 1870. Most Americans didn't know what a trademark was, so when they saw trademarks split up on the packaging, people mistakenly thought their names were Trade Smith and Mark Smith. Apparently, this was a point of consternation for years. To keep with the tradition, we're going to use a set of rollers and some equipment from this time period. A drop roller machine was made in 1871, but the rollers are called insignia rollers because they say cough on one side and Mullane's on others. And Mullane's is the store these candy rollers originally came from. They opened in 1848 in Cincinnati. We even have a photo of the store from back then. And this means each piece of candy has cough on one side and Mullane's on the other. And they would have called this cough candy. And I hope our recipe of honey and lavender is doing them justice. If you want to try this candy for yourself, it's available online on our website, www.pd.net. We ship just about anywhere. You can also find out more about us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or listening to the Lofty Pursuits podcast. Candy and medicine may seem strange to you, but there's actually a long tradition of the two. In the early days, medicines, liquids often were combined with powdered sugar and compressed into tablets. It was a way to make it easy to measure the dose. Even in the modern day, compounding pharmacists make custom lollipops with medication in it. It's a wonderful way to apply medication to inflammations of the mouth, or to give to a small child who might not understand or be able to swallow a pill. A good number of years ago, I helped one of these pharmacists who was making lollipops for a small child. His cancer medicine tasted terrible and he wouldn't take it in liquid form. But this way, he could just suck on a lollipop, and the medicine became a treat. But the question is, why did they call them drops? The machine is a fruit drop roller. And we're going to find out right now. The candy came out into sheets, and now it needs to be broken into individual pieces. And we do this by dropping. They came out perfectly. They have cough on one side and Mullane's on the other. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. The Lofty Pursuits channel has lots of these videos. You can go back and watch tons of them, or you can go forward because we're going to come out with another one next week. If you'd like to try our candy for yourself, go to www.pd.net. And until then, be safe. I think I'm going to have to make more of these cough drops. They came out so good.